Radio medium wave 50.5 meters corresponding to 696 kHz. Please stand by. This is All India Radio. We now bring you the comments from the press.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Times of India in its editorial titled Year of Protests writes, as 2019 draws to a close, there's no denying that the year was defined by a wave of protests sweeping across the globe. From Chile to Hong Kong, protesters took to the streets against injustices and misgovernance. And while the protests were in response to local issues like the Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act CAA protests in India or the anti-government protests in Lebanon over economic and administrative mismanagement, they also had at their core key themes that have been compelling young people to make their voices heard. One of those is the sluggish pace of global economic growth that has led to a rising income inequality, low entry-level salaries and diminishing permanency of jobs. This in turn has created frustrations among young people, and those frustrations are funneling into the issue-specific protests that we see. In that sense, if the 2008 global financial crisis created resentment against the then political economic elite and made space for right-wing populist political forces to come to power, the 2019 protests seem to be directed against the same populist forces for their failure to deliver solutions to fundamental economic, social and ecological problems of our time. A theme that has galvanized young people is the planet's climate emergency. With the environment perceptibly deteriorating due to decades of man-made abuse, heaping health and livelihood costs on the current generation, young people increasingly feel they have been dealt a raw deal by leaders today and the past. Swedish teenage activist Greta Thunberg articulated this sentiment powerfully in 2019, sparking global climate protests by youngsters. The Indian Express in its editorial titled Not a Drop to Waste says, in 2020, according to the Niti Aayog, 21 Indian cities including Delhi, Chennai and Bengaluru will run out of groundwater. The Aayog's Composite Water Management Index CWMI released in June notes that 70% of our water resources are contaminated. Several other reports, including the Central Water Commission's Water and Water-Related Statistics 2019, have thrown light on the poor state of India's groundwater aquifers. The urgency of the Atal Bhujal Yojana launched by the Union Jal Shakti Ministry last week can therefore hardly be overstated. The groundwater revival scheme ticks quite a few right boxes. It seeks to strengthen the institutional framework of administering groundwater resources and aims to bring about behavioral changes at the community level for sustainable groundwater resource management. The Hindu in its editorial titled Governance Index says the nationwide comparative study of states on governance carried out by the Government of India, as seen in the Good Governance Index GGI, is a welcome exercise to incentivize states to competitively deliver on public services to the citizens. Different agencies including Niti Aayog, the government's policy think tank, are evaluating the states on different parameters. The findings of the GGI's inaugural edition are significant in many aspects. Although Tamil Nadu has always had the reputation of being a better run state, it is only now that it is ranked first in any study of this kind. What is more significant about the GGI is that the dubiously labelled Bimaru states are seeking to catch up with others in development. Of the 9 sectors, Rajasthan has finished within the top 10 in the 5 sectors, Madhya Pradesh in 4 and Uttar Pradesh in 3. In agriculture and allied sectors, almost all these states are within the top 10 category. The Economic Times in its editorial titled Card Merger at the Railways Welcome comments the move to merge 8 Group A service cadres of the railways into one unified central service labeled the Indian Railway Management Service IRMS so as to boost synergy is pathbreaking indeed, provided the challenges of organizational revamp are addressed. Note that the merger of Indian Airlines with Air India led to human resource management issues that remain unresolved for years. Various expert committees have called for a unified Indian railway service to bring about needed organizational focus, agility, do away with needless departmentalism, and to discourage a culture of working in silos. The Pioneer in his editorial titled Man vs. Superman says films have been the bard of our times, recording our nation's story, sweeping the arc of fantastic idealism to nudging realism, customizing offerings to the many genres in between. But for years, the mainstream genre of the entertainment media in this country has been about wish fulfillment and the heroism. In that sense, 2019 will be a milestone year when man became Superman. When the star was